Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Moletrap. For those of you watching this on YouTube later on, hopefully this is actually recording. And we are actually going to be casting the OSL Finals live. There are 4 of us here, so we're going to be switching off a little bit. I am here with Cholera, Rise, and Vaul. We've got a lot of people here. It should be a lot of fun. We've got a full Shoutcast server, a full Ventrilo server, a full IRC chat room. We are having a ball with everyone watching these games live at the same time, and it should be absolutely fantastic. I'm probably not going to be casting this one unless someone's stream dies, in which case I'll jump in for that. We're going to be switching off games because it's going to be hard to have everyone concentrating on the same game, I guess. It just gets too cluttered. So, yeah, but that's the intro, and I'm going to pass it off now to Cholera since it looks like the game is about to be started.
All right. 3, 2, 1, start. That's my sync as far as I got, at least. This is Fantasy versus Jaedong, Game 1. This is on Medusa. It's going to be played twice if it gets to a Game 5, and I think this is definitely something that favors Jaedong. You know, just to repeat once again, the last time Jaedong was in the finals of a Star League, it was in the MSL against 4GG, and he was a huge favorite entering, but he lost 0-3, and this time he's entering once again as a huge favorite, although certainly the map pool is very different now. Back then, many people blamed his loss on 2 maps, at least, that he played in the first 3 games, which were Tiamat and Coliseum, very Terran-favored maps. This case, it's not going to be that. It's not going to be, you know, at all like that. We have Medusa, and I think we have Return of the King coming up, and what's the other map? I think Tears of the Moon also. You know, slightly Terran-favored maps, but not very much. You know, what else can I say? I mean, Jaedong on a very, very long winning streak, to be very obvious, but you know, he's managed to beat almost 2 entire Pro League teams, with the exception of Sky High, which is questionable why he even lost in the first place. He won 5 pool, of course, and highly doubtful he'll do something like that. He has nothing to, you know, he doesn't have to try to get to prove that his team can win without him here. He just wants to make sure he can take his second OSL title here in this series, whereas Fantasy, of course, looking for his first after being defeated by Stork last season.
Yeah, so both these players obviously want to win this. I mean, we're talking about the OSL Finals, I think, right? Unless I woke up on a different day. But it looks like let's get into the match. I mean, Jaedong is starting off with a 12 hatch, and he's also scouting in the wrong direction, which is gonna play in a little bit, but he'll figure out pretty quickly with his drone scout where Fantasy is in the build that he's going. Fantasy trying to, looks like he's putting up a bit of a wall. At the same time, he's got a refinery going down, so it looks like we're going to see that techie mech build. Maybe he'll start out with some vultures. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. And, you know, in the meantime, the question is, will Jaedong get into Scout or not? It looks like he is going to get in just fine, actually, way before that wall is actually closed off. So he's going to know exactly what's going on inside of Fantasy's base. And so, you know, we have seen Jaedong destroyed by mech builds in the past. And I don't know if he's been playing against particularly a lot of Medic Marine builds lately in his Terran matches, or if he's been seeing a good distribution of the games. But the question is, I wonder what he's been practicing against, because, you know, we say that Fantasy's a creative player, and then we say that no, he's really not, and then we're like, wait, no, sometimes he is. But so, I mean, is he actually, I wonder if he's actually practiced against some sort of mech build from Fantasy, or if he has been practicing, you know, other builds. I'm sure in his practice he's been practicing against every build imaginable. So I can only imagine that Jaedong will be ready for pretty much anything that Fantasy can throw at him. And it looks like Fantasy only got 1 on guess at this point, so he's probably going to go for a quick expansion as well. So Fantasy definitely starting off trying to get a economic advantage in this game to see if he can take it early.
Yes, just speaking of mech, the last notable time, well, one of the notable times that Jaedong lost really spectacularly against mech was way back when he played Flash in the StarCraft Invitational that Gandhi people. But that was a long time ago. Jaedong's obviously had a long time to study mech and the current incarnations of it and really get used to it. But the thing about Fantasy is that Fantasy doesn't just do mech. Fantasy does his own particular unique style of mech, which he has actually really popularized lately. And he's the one that's really pushing it at the moment. I'm just going to pass it off again to Cholera because I'm having a little bit of trouble with my stream. But I just wanted to put in that little point.
No problem, absolutely no problem. It looks like we've got a fast expand also from Fantasy. This is a build that, I think is one of the strongest mech openings you can get, but instead of following up with more factories, he's altered it slightly. Instead of going one factory in a command center to, Goliaths, he's going to go for a starport, and we'll see where that leads. It looks like Jaedong's gone for very early Hydralisks here. He got it after the second hatchery. We'll see if he's going to go to Lair now, or if he's just going to go straight for a Hydralisk rush, and he is going just for 2 hatch Hydras here. I gotta think he's not thinking about playing this for a very long game here. He's gonna go for this rush, and the good thing is he's managed to kill off Fantasy scouting SCV. The bad thing is, there's no real bad thing if you can't make this work. Fantasy knows this is coming now. 5 Hydras moving out, and Fantasy gonna try to get in. It's not gonna work though, I think. Jaedong probably gonna have a reinforcing Hydralisk, kill off that Vulture, and Fantasy has almost nothing at his front door. He's gonna have to get tanks out immediately.
Wow, ballsy, man. Jaedong is now going in with those Hydras, but that tank is out, so there is a tank out. But those Hydras, he may be able to pick off some, either open up a supply depot, break the wall open, which he is doing. The SCVs were not focusing on it, but he's losing Hydras at the same time. That one tank is going to continue to drive off those Hydra forces, but if he gets too close, he's going to be able to attack the tank as well directly, and this is a race to see who can take out what quicker. And he attacks the directly, and there's a Wraith out. There's a Wraith out at this point, and now the supply depot will not go down, though. So the Wraith is heading over to harass Jaedong's base. Jaedong not having much success with this Hydra break. Right now, the repairing SCVs building that, keeping that wall up, like the Great Wall of China against the Mongolians. And I mean, it's just ridiculous that Jaedong is now getting his expansion up, trying to also go into a tech build at this point, getting his Spire up. So he has obviously gotten Lair at this point. And, Fantasy, he's already transitioning into an armory, so he may have Goliaths or what. He's also going to scout everything out with this Wraith, as well as take out one drone before almost losing that Wraith.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man, you got to feel like Jaedong's missed a key opportunity there. He definitely was going for the element of surprise, and after that Vulture was looking for the harass and saw those 5 Hydras moving out, it gave Fantasy plenty of time to get the SCVs in line. I did see that part of the game, but again, I'm still having trouble with the stream. I'll let you guys know. Oh, it's back up. Hang on a sec. Yeah, so Fantasy has got a fully operational expansion now. He's going to be ready well in time for those Mutalisks when they do show up, and of course Jaedong's going to be light on the ground with Mutalisks because he's invested in Hydralisks first up. So I'm really feeling like he's on the back foot right now.
All right, so we're seeing the tank being sieged, and we're seeing now Fantasy walking away with a couple. Jaedong walking away with a couple of Hydras. Jaedong's Spire almost done now, and it's going to finish. And I don't actually see that much inside of Fantasy's base in terms of anti-air. I'm sure he knows this is coming though, so he's going to have everything up in time. Okay, never mind. There we see the king of anti-air there, the Valkyrie. That's right. You go, boy, for Jaedong. But anyway, so I mean, this is an interesting opening for both players, I gotta say. Jaedong almost kind of going all in-ish, but not evidently going all in because he's managed to transition out of it. But the question is, how delayed is he from the normal build, and how much of an advantage did Fantasy take from this? I mean, it's not as big as you would think because he was forced to get, at least in terms of the air, because he was forced to get siege mode and tank, and at least one tank. So he's not gonna have that much anti-air. The thing is, does Jaedong know there's Valkyries? I mean, there's no way he knows there's Valkyries, so he probably doesn't have a Scourge. He doesn't have any Scourge yet now with the initial wave. He's going to need some Scourge though, or else these Mutalisks are going to be completely useless.
Yeah, it looks like if he didn't know, he does now know that there are indeed Valkyries out, and there were 2, and I think he's actually building a 3rd. So it looks like Fantasy is kind of pumping these Valkyries a little bit, kind of giving us a glimpse of the Fantasy build, I guess. And Jaedong, I mean, he's got to be prepared for this, so he's got to know Valkyrie play from a player like Fantasy. He's got 3 Valks out now at this point, and it looks like he is content with just 3. It does not look like he's building any more. Jaedong does have Scourge, so he is looking to clone those Valks and get them taken out as quick as possible. But with the Medic Marine support underhand, I don't know if he'll be able to really dive them in quick enough to take out those Valkyries before they take too many hits or something like that. So it looks like he's going to go spot them first. Now he's definitely cloning them at this point. The question is, are they being targeted by the Marines? But no, he's going to be able to drag them back to the turret. So the Scourge actually going to go down. But the Scourge doing an important job right now, and that's keeping the Valkyries away from the Mutas. So Fantasy right now, those Valkyries weren't doing too much. But it looks like they're going to be able to go in now. And again, man, he's doing a great job of just backing him off and bringing him to the turrets and then picking off the Scourges like that. And oh my God, those Valkyries just taking out Mutas left and right. All of the Mutas go down.
Wow.
And this is not good for Jaedong. Jaedong could be in trouble at this point.
Yeah, I think everybody in the stadium knows that this is a build that Fantasy invented. It's the one that he is most comfortable with. It's the one he's been practicing for days and weeks now. And the problem is that Jaedong expected to do more with his rust with the Hydralisk. So it's Jaedong that's having to improvise now. It's Fantasy's game to lose, I feel, because he is comfortable. He is playing this cool. He is now in a position to macro up. We're seeing a couple of Lurkers out in the field there, but man, Lurkers are not going to be very good against mech. Obviously useful against Medic and Marine in some situations, but it's just that Jaedong's unit composition is really sort of a bit up in the air right now. He's got a lot of everything, but nothing really dedicated to taking down Fantasy's build, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, note this is slightly different from what we talked about the Fantasy build in the past, but it is certainly Fantasy's build, and certainly he can do very well with it too. We've got right now, it's actually not a horrible situation for Jaedong, to be honest. We can't forget that he's had his third gas up for a long, long time. And Jaedong does have a hive up. This is absolutely correct, because normally what we see when Zerg get beat by mech is a Zerg player staying way too long on lair and just going mutas and hydras, and that does not work. And I'm glad to see Jaedong is not going mass hydras. Instead, he's going fast hive here. He's going to get some defilers out, some cracklings, and eventually some ultralisks if he manages to survive that long, and that is just a great combination against biomech. It's much stronger than Hydra Muta, I think, and Jaedong obviously making the right moves here.
Yeah, I think you're right. It looks like those Valks are still taking down those Scourge before any seem to be able to land. One Scourge still up. One Scourge, the last Scourge actually landing on a Valk, but not taking it out, of course. There is the Defiler's Mound, so it looks like Jaedong is going to try to get this Defiler tech out as quick as possible. Obviously, he's got tanks knocking on his front door at this point, and he's trying to delay any reinforcements from getting to that grouping, which is going to work pretty well. But actually, he's actually forced Fantasy back, and Fantasy's trying to pincer the Lurkers. Very successful with that pincer. Taking out 1, 2, 3. All but one Lurker. Now Lurker's back in the front, but I don't know if this is going to do anything. The Lurker's going to have to back off. He's still going to lose another Lurker from that little volley, so he is just taking unit hit after unit hit here. Jaedong is definitely playing an intense game, but Fantasy doing a very good job of having map control, and Jaedong is now back to his base. I don't know if he has given away the fact or if Fantasy knows of the new expansion or not, but Jaedong has to be very careful that he doesn't lead him to it if he can't defend it. And but again, Jaedong taking out a lot of units there, so Fantasy, his army is getting whittled down, and this is just delay tactics anyway for the Scourge. I'm sorry, for the Defilers to come out. And if those Defilers can get out in time, and he can get some Dark Swarm off, he may be perfectly fine to handle this. And it looks like Fantasy may even be out of scan at this point. And there's the Defilers and Consume, and Jaedong is now back in this game.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's too quickly. I think he's definitely got an opportunity to push out here, but Defilers are not. Fantasy knows the timing of this. He knows the situation that he's in, and his forces, as you can see, they just retreat as soon as those swarms go down. He just has to pull back. If he wants to, he can actually move out and hit that third base if he wants to. He can do drops. He's got a lot of options, and I feel like Jaedong is having to react to what Fantasy does rather than the other way around, and that's a really comfortable position for Terran to be in. When you've got troops down in the middle of the map, you can attack other bases. You just have to avoid the Defilers. The Defilers are really only dangerous when they're at your doorstep and they're knocking on it. And I don't think that's the situation we're in right now.
This is absolutely great. We're seeing right now Fantasy very smartly opening the back of Jaedong's base, and right now we're seeing Marines running towards the back. Fantasy right now continuing to hold the middle, like you were saying, Vaul. Very good point there. Jaedong, he can defend though. I think that's one thing he can do, and that's very smart. He's got a nice canal up at the upper left. He needs to get, he consumes, and he should get a swarm up pretty soon, so he should be okay there at the upper left, but he is facing attacks at the back of his base and at the upper left, and looks like he's going to go out and chase away these tanks and a couple Marine there at the upper left, that small contingent there, and right now, looks like he's really doing good work here with his Lurker swarm defense here, but at the same time, Fantasy has gotten speed upgrade, I think, for his vultures and mines, of course. And wow, look at this! I mean, he's just going right into the back there. He might actually take out some drones at this new third here.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be very careful not to lose this base. If he loses this base, it's pretty much over at this point, because he'd be down to his 3 bases mining, and it looks like he is going to lose it. I mean, he has pretty much lost all the units there, and now there are only like 5 or 6 Marines there, but they will probably be able to take that out without much trouble, especially with the tanks at the front of that base being able to block any reinforcements from possibly getting there. And in the meantime, Fantasy continuing to reinforce his own troops in the middle to regain or retain that control of the middle, and Jaedong just not able to get out of his base. I think he was hoping that once that if he was able to delay long enough to get Dark Swarm, his Dark Swarm and Defiler play would be good enough so that he could at least push Fantasy back. It looks like he's also setting up another base at the 5 o'clock location, and if he needs that's actually a 4th base, but it's only his 3rd gas, and it does not get up and running. It's spotted by Fantasy before it can become a real hatchery, and Jaedong, again, he is just slowly getting better and better contained by, or I guess worse and worse for him, but more and more contained by Fantasy, and Fantasy just slowly, constricting around Jaedong's neck.
Yeah, not just before I pass it up, because I don't have a stream, I just want to point out that this is a very comfortable map for Terran, because you've got a mineral only behind your own base, which is fine, so Fantasy's not going to run out of minerals anytime soon. He's got science vessels in the air, which he's keeping alive, and he's got mines out in the field, so I really don't see him losing this from this point.
Yeah, not from this point on, but I have to say this is definitely a map that I would think was Jaedong's best chance of a victory here, or basically his most likely map to win, and it's really kind of I was saying before the game, I don't know if it was in this stream or not, but if Jaedong doesn't win the first game, I think this is a herald that Fantasy may have a chance of winning this whole series. Before we were pretty much all saying that. Everyone was pretty much predicting Jaedong to win, and while I think still he's going to win the whole series, I think this is going to be closer than we think, because Fantasy's managed to take a relatively surprising win here on Medusa, which like statistics goes, almost 2-1 Zerg versus Terran historically. So very, very impressive play so far.
I gotta agree. I think that Jaedong certainly should have won this based off statistics alone, but Fantasy, again, he was very well prepared for this. And wow, a lot of Lynx trying to get to the back of his base, but it looks like he's going to lose again another hatchery before he can reinforce. I mean, Lynx and GG coming from Jaedong. So Jaedong going to give it up right away, which I gotta say is probably a smart thing. Make sure that he's just got enough gas to make it through this entire match, this entire set, because I mean, the first match, it sucks to lose, but he's still got plenty of games to play, and he's got to make sure that he, he doesn't throw himself out or off too early into it.
Just want to make a quick housekeeping update here. I've switched streams, which is working much better for me, because I was having a little bit of trouble that last game. I'm only about 10 seconds in front of you guys for this other stream, but when it's my turn to commentate, I'll mainly be talking about very general things anyway, so just thought I'd say that. But back to the game, yeah, I really did feel like that was just a sneaky thing for Jaedong to do very early on. I mean, he wanted to try that Hydralisk thing. He was really banking on Fantasy not expecting that, and yeah, I think it was a gambit, and it didn't work, and that was why it was such a comfortable win later on. Sure, there was stuff that he could have done to come back from that, but Fantasy just played it really cool.
I'm gonna jump in real quick just for the sake of the recording I'm making for YouTube later. I want to apologize that I wasn't evident to you guys that were casting, luckily, but on my end, my stream kept crapping out, and so there was a couple blank spots on the VOD, and so I apologize for that. And it was a little bit out of sync as well, so again, apologies, but we're going to try and fix that up. And Game 2 should be synced pretty well. And on that note, I'm going to, I guess, stop the recording for now, and I'll pick up, start recording again for Game 2.